We're back at you and gloves off, and today we have a great event. We have great folks from District 7 that are standing up and they're going to represent. We're back at you and gloves off, and today we have great event. We have great folks from District 7 that are standing up and they're going to represent. We're back at you and gloves off, and today we have great event. We have great folks from District 7 that are standing up and they're going to represent. That's the beauty of being live. Let me just, if everybody can unmute because everybody's going crazy. That's a beauty of being live. If everybody can unmute because everybody's going crazy. All right. And if everybody can unmute their phones, that was a good one. Now, we got some great folks from District 7, and I'm going to introduce everybody, and everybody's going to have a chance to have an opening, have some questions these questions were compromised by several individuals of the community, and some concerns with Laredo and how Laredo is going. But I want everybody to pay attention to each and every candidate. The first person that would start introducing each other, and if everybody can unmute their button when their name is called, is Mayor Betty Flores. Would you give your nice opening?
Yes, thank you very much, Professor, for having us this morning, for taking the time. I know it was complicated to get all the Zoom and everything with YouTube done, but I appreciate you doing this. And I appreciate the people that are watching and are going to watch this, because this is all about doing it together. Sometimes paid and they don't care what is going on because they trust it does not affect them, or they think it does not affect them or their lives. I believe that that is a privileged way to feel, but we cannot do that now. This is not the time not to listen. It's not the time not to participate when we are all at risk. Many people are experiencing a lot of pain. I believe I have the experience to help in my community. As you all know, District 6 was redrawn. District 7 was redrawn. I want to redraw District 7 so that it has what it needs, because it's a very large and diverse district. So all I ask is for your vote on my experience.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Now, Mr. Flores, would you like to say your opening?
Well, thank you, Mr. Buitrón. Thank you for having us. And like the mayor said, I second that. I think Laredo needs a change, and we need to change for the better. Laredo's been running for a long, long time. I'm running for District 7 as a businessman, but also as a citizen, a very concerned citizen. I've been living in District 7 for over 30 years, and I've seen everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think it's time that Laredo goes and raise their voice as they have. And I think about the questions that are gonna be asked and how we all are going to respond. I can tell you one thing, that I'm a devoted husband. I love my children. I love my grandchildren, and I love Laredo. I'm a mechanical engineer. I have my own business, which I started in about 11 years ago. I've been in the industry, about 4 different kinds of industry. And what Laredo needs is job opportunities. And it needs jobs opportunities for our youth, for the future of Laredo, which is their own citizens. Rather than leaving Laredo with all that talent, we need them to stay. And right now we face 2 big problems. The coronavirus, which has affected tourism and a bunch of other stuff. And the fact that the city is running, it's supposed to be run like a business, but without any revenue. And our main source of revenue is the import and export, has been dramatically, disastrously affected. I feel that it is time for a change. So if you elect me, Carlos Flores, I can promise you I will work 24/7, not only to help and improve the lives of the people of District 7, but also improve the business quality and everything else that comes with it.
Well, thank you, Mr. Flores. Now, our next candidate, Ms. Pettis, would you please state your opening?
Yes, thank you for having me, and thank you for everybody watching. I know that you've put a lot of effort into trying to get all of us interviewed and for people to get to know who we are. So I appreciate the opportunity to have this platform. I want to tell everybody in Laredo, my name is Vanessa Pettis. I was born and raised here. I am a mother, a homeowner, and I've been fighting for my community for many, many years now. As a concerned citizen, I've learned how to take issues and advocate for them, advocate for people. I really strongly care about the people that live in our district. I have a business background. I am an educator, so I understand the basic business concepts of investments and you know, growth and those concepts. And I'd like to help Laredo grow and move forward. You know, we all work hard to provide for our families. We deserve a government that works hard for us. Right now, Laredo, over 40% of the population lives at or below the poverty rate. It's difficult for people to start a small business. You know, the average income is minimum wage. We need to fix those problems. Our people need to have access to better paying jobs. We need to work on the trade industry. We need to improve relations with these companies. And we really need to work a lot in District 7 so that the entire city can grow. And I have the capabilities to do that. So I really just want for the viewers and for the voters to give me an opportunity, learn about my platform, and hopefully, you know, I can earn your vote. So vote Vanessa Pettis for City Council District 7. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ms. Pettis. Mr. Ortiz is not in, so the next person we're going to go in there is Mr. Cepeda. Mr. Cepeda, would you state your opening?
Hello, everyone. My name is Benigno Gerardo Cepeda, and I want to start off by saying that this country lost a great leader. Ruth Bader Ginsburg just recently passed away. A very important person. You know, she was for the voice for gender equality, a lot of things, environment, women interests. So my condolences to the family of Ryan Bader Ginsburg. So I want to say why am I running for city council? So the reason why I'm running for city council is because I witnessed the city stretch, divide, and rupture. The city has become undervalued due to the political agenda of certain elected officials. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of the lies, the compadrismo, and the lack of integrity that our local government has been displaying. So what are my ideas for District 7? So I want District 7 to be the example that other districts follow, focusing on the youth, the elderly, our fellow veterans, and of course, hearing the concerns of the constituents of that part of the district. As far as projects, I would like to finish any pending projects. And a lot of people talk about, oh, I want to do this and that. I think we should focus on the projects that are pending at that moment. So what are my qualifications? I do bring over 22 years of public service in different realms. I have 18 years of honorable service under oath, defending the Constitution, the laws of the United States and the state of Texas. 14 years as a federal law enforcement agent, specializing in border security. 4 years as a Marine veteran. And also 6 years of utilities department experience within the city of Laredo. So within those 6 years, I was a warehouse supervisor in charge of an inventory of close up to $500,000. Once United Water came in, I took over the procurement department, got very knowledgeable with the budget, bidding, contracting, everything that has to be done with bidding, contracting, budget, you name it, I was involved. And my last duty, before I became a federal law enforcement agent, I was the utilities construction inspector. So I got very familiar with the water sewer operations. I think that's something that's very important because we've been having problems with operations within the city with the water, the sewer. Also, I would like to say that I have no inclination to favoritism. I'm here to work for the people, not the system. Thank you.
Thank you. The next was Ms. Reyes. You have, if you can state your opening.
Hi, thank you everyone for joining. It's really cool that everyone that showed up did. So important for everyone to hear from all of us. My name is Maria Antonieta Reyes, and I'm running for District 7 because I am tired. I am tired of false promises and primarily of not having the voice of the people, the interest of the people in government action. Walking around District 7, I have learned that most of the citizens of District 7 are content. They all have similar issues: entrances to residential areas, accesses outside of Mines Road to this area in District 7, lighting when it comes to secure places. And all of these needs that the people are claiming in order for us to address, they actually need action. So I am running to invite you to be part of that action. Don't let government make the decisions for you anymore. If you want a revolution, join me, because true change comes from the hands of the people. In order to be able to have our needs met in District 7, we really need to come together and engage with government, which is something that, because of apathy, because we've lost trust, because we keep hearing the same promises and no one actually does anything about it. The reason why that is because we tend to have from 20% to 40% voting rate. We need to raise our voice together. So join me and join the restructuring of government to include the voice of the people. Thank you.
Hello, yes. Now, thank you, Ms. Reyes. Now with Mr. Montes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello. All right. My name is David Montes. I was an educator for 30 years. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, hello.
Hello, yes, we can.
Yes, see, they can hear me. All right. All right. I was an educator for 30 years. I taught AP government and politics. I taught history, world and American history. I did UIL briefly, and I had a Spanish endorsement at a local high school. It is important that we all do our civic duty, and it's important that we all commit ourselves to this election, because we cannot be silent anymore. I was in the governor's committee for the disabled at the state level under Governor Ann Richards when ADA was written. Here locally, I was in the Paratransit Advisory Committee. And along the way, I garnered some recognitions. I was Golden Apple Award winner. I was the Chamber of Commerce School Bell Award winner for secondary education with Mr. Conchas. I was Latin American Hall of Fame honoree with the David Montes Inspirational Award. There is a football field named after me in tribute. And I come from a firefighter's family. My father was the late Chief Montes. My brother was a firefighter, and I wanted to be a firefighter, but God had a different plan for me. And so this is what I did. And so I joined. I hope that the constituents of District 7 join me and join someone different with different life experiences. That's what I bring to the table. I have experience in working with thousands of students, faculty and staff, administrators, counselors, parents, and this is a people skills position. And I know that I'm different, but I'm different in a positive way. And I need for people to join us to improve the situation in city government and improve the situation in District 7. One of my platforms is that I'm not here to promote my business and my practice, and I mean it. There's been some conflict of interest in city council, and there's still issues about that. Propositions are before us, and these propositions need to be looked at carefully because of the charter.
Thank you. Now, with the last one was Mr. Renteria. Mr. Renteria?
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Jose Renteria. I placed number 9 on the general ballot. I am 36 years old, and I have a lot of energy and goodwill to serve my community. I attended Washington Middle School. Afterwards, I graduated as a junior in United High School. Then I received my bachelor's degree in political science. My field of experience is in the import-export business, but I have all the skills and qualifications to do an outstanding job as a city councilman. Only with your vote, you're going to help us leave the old school behind and give the opportunity for a young mind to come up with other ideas or a different mode of doing things. My platform of ideas is very unique and thus separates me from the rest. Everybody talks about leadership, but nobody has ever said how they're going to go about it. It's time for a change. We need to move Laredo forward. And I really hope that you can trust me since Jose Renteria is a hope for Laredo.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to read the first question, and then the first person that's going to start down the road, down the answering will be Mr. Flores. But let me read the question for you. I'm getting old, so I'm going to remove my glasses. The city of Laredo has a habit of entering into projects and lawsuits that lead the city into financial difficulties. In the past several years, Laredo leaders have been led astray manipulated into lawsuits, losing those lawsuits, such as they have lost faith of the citizens of Laredo. How do you feel about bringing forth projects that might lead our city into further debt just to satisfy certain groups of individuals? Mr. Flores?
That is a very good question, a very simple question to answer. Just think about the arena. The arena was supposed to be built so that the viejitas and the grandmothers and everybody can go and have fun. Well, that arena has cost us a significant amount of money. We keep paying for that extra tax, and it's not gonna go away unless we blow it up and start over again. And there was special interest. There's no doubt about it, you know, and I think that anything dealing with special interest, I would definitely would vote against it. What we really have to worry about right now is serving the community, and serving the community from the heart, not from the stomach or for special interest. We need to serve it not only with good faith, energy, and with know-how. We need to serve it somebody that not only has the experience, but has the wisdom and the ability and the will, which is, of course, is part of it. But you gotta have the wisdom and forget the greed. I would balance the budget and I would work together, not just myself, of course. We have somebody that does that. Make sure that he actually balance the budget and work with city council to try to balance that budget. Cut down on all the expenditures that are completely unnecessary. And so we need to get.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Flores. Your time went over. Remember, you have 1 minute. The next person will be Ms. Vanessa Perez.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Perez, and I don't think that we have any place for self-interest, self-serving actions in government. I think our government has to work for the people, and anytime we choose to get into debt, it has to be investment focused. There's a good debt and there's a bad debt, and you have to get the right kind of debt for growth and things like that. But you cannot take on a project or go after something just because you want to appease a certain group or because somebody's forcing you to. And so there's a process in government, it's called recusal. And so we have to enact that recusal process and say, you know what, there's a possible conflict of interest. And so I'm not going to be able to vote on this or push for this. And so politicians have to remember that the people are the focus. And so growing the city is going to require taking on loans and bonds and things like that. And we can do those wisely. But personally, thank you. So I would say, look after.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Now on the next person, Mr. Renteria. Remember, you have 1 minute. When you hear the bell, that's 10 seconds out.
Sounds good. With the Renteria campaign, all undergoing projects will be only for the benefit of our residents, of our community, and the city as a whole. We have seen that practice be taking place before, and it has led us to going nowhere. We have to change the way Laredo is going, the direction for which it's going. We need a change, and we need to act now.
Thank you, Mr. Renteria. Now the next one, Mr. Cepeda.
Yes, sir. So I believe council should focus on the current deficit on the budget and not proposing more cost on future projects like converting the Bruni Plaza into a multi-purpose theater and a sports complex project. Also, if we have projects that are already approved, we got to allow outside contractors for better opportunity to save money, because on the last proposal, it was specified that only local contractors should be given the opportunity. I think there should be opportunities for outside contractors. We want to save money. Also, whatever happened to that money from the Civic Center, what are those funds being allocated to? So we need to figure out, where those funds are being moved to and use them for the citizens. So I strongly feel that we should focus on the budget. It is at a negative 20 million. So I do have experience in that. So we need to figure out where the funds are being allocated and move them to where we need it to right now.
Your answer, Ms. Reyes. Ms. Reyes, if you can answer that question. We'll come back with Ms. Reyes. I'm going to go ahead and skip Ms. Reyes. We're going to go to Mr. Montes. Mr. Montes, if you can answer that question.
Look, what happened to the lemurs, the bucks, and the other sports entities? People cannot afford to support these venues because people do not have that disposable income. So anytime we submit these proposals for construction or for revenue budget draining, we need to take into consideration whether people can afford them. I will not vote for a Ferris wheel, a water park, or a lazy river if people cannot afford them. Yes, we want all these amenities. We all want to increase the standard of living and the quality of life, but we cannot afford it. And right now they suspended that baseball quad park because we do not have the revenue.
Thank you, Mr. Montes. Now we're going to go back to Ms. Reyes. Ms. Reyes, if you can answer that question.
Thank you for coming back to me. I couldn't hear you before. I think that it is most important to try to understand the budget before we consider absolutely anything else. But we cannot disregard the idea of spending in order to gain. There are projects that could bring to the city what is needed, and that has to be considered. But understanding the budget is very important for us to set priority to certain things and to disregard others. But we cannot do that as a community unless we have a clear picture of how we're spending money.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Reyes. Now, Mayor Flores, could you answer that question?
Absolutely, sir. And my name is Betty Flores. And I want to tell you that special interest is a term that unfair people looking for things to criticize have coined. Yes, there are special interests, but those special interests bring money to the city. They all do. And it's not a fair description of the people that have invested in our community and continue to invest. You know, the Killams wanted to do the TERS project and it was turned down by the community because it was misunderstood. The convention center that was proposed, $46 million was going to be invested in this community by the special interests, and we turned it down. If we're going to grow and we're going to grow forward and give our people all those things that they need, affordability, job creations, we have to work with the private sector. It's very important. And we have to watch our Q's and P's. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Flores. Now, for the next question. Local governments have not been abandoned by the federal government. Congress has earmarked and sent over millions of dollars of COVID-19 relief money for local governments, such as Laredo. Do you agree that the city government has been silent or opaque or not transparent with the citizens to how and where the money is being spent? If so, how would you spend the money? The first person that will answer that will be Ms. Perez.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Perez, and I would spend the money on small businesses. That's the priority. They're a heart of any city. They have been, a lot of them have taken the brunt of this COVID virus pandemic. And in the beginning, a lot of businesses were shut down completely. They had no way to generate income. There was no options for them to make a living. The government sent down the PPP program, the EIDL loans and things like that. But those were designed, the PPP was designed for 2 months worth of expenses only. So it's way past that time. And the government has a grant right now that it's like a lottery system. And you can't even qualify for it if you receive the PPP. So a lot of small businesses right now, I don't like the idea of a lottery, drawing a name. I think if a business is coming forward that they need money, then we need to find a way to give it to them. So, and as far as transparency, we can always be more transparent.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Now, the next person that will answer is Mr. Renteria.
Jose Renteria believes that the city leaderships have not been transparent enough to let the people know how money has been spent. In my campaign, I have proposed 2 platforms in which one of them is an open door policy. Now, unlike before, citizens will have a designated office where I will personally attend to them. They will be able to know exactly what projects will be underway, how much money is being spent, and for what projects. That is what a leader is does, bring everybody together for a common purpose, a common goal. Obviously, there's a lot of needs within our city, but it is important that they know exactly where the money is being spent.
Thank you, Mr. Renteria. Now, the next person answering the question, Mr. Cepeda. Mr. Cepeda, can you hear me?
All right. So I believe that they have not been transparent with the citizens and not allowing citizens to vote how the city spends and passes proposals and tax increases. The latest example is the property tax rate increase for 2020, 2021. They proposed just under the highest tax rate so that the citizens are not allowed to vote on a ballot whether to raise our tax rates or not. I mean, that just tells you that the current leadership is not being transparent, you know? Another thing too is the COVID-19. How much money did they receive? Because according to research, the city only approved an emergency purchase order back in April for $300,000. What happened to that money? I know it was broken down. Only $100,000 went to the test. So we need to figure out what happened to the rest of the money and the fund that is for the citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Cepeda. Now, Ms. Reyes, can you answer?
The city of Laredo, hi, my name is Maria Antonieta Reyes, and the city of Laredo has not been transparent And the little transparency they do have is so convoluted and confusing because no one takes the time to actually explain what is taking place in the decision-making process of Laredo. And that is very important. When the COVID-19 funds were available, there were even left in certain areas without being touched because of lack of action by government entities. And that in itself lost opportunities for our city. So it's very important to realize that they have not been transparent and that actions need to be taken to appropriate those funds to the right people.
Thank you, Ms. Reyes. Now, Mr. Montes, if you can answer that question. Mr. Montes, can you hear me? Mr. Montes, can you hear me? All right, he went off. Mayor, would you answer that question? Then we get back to Mr. Montes. Mayor, can you hear me?
I turned it off so I wouldn't bother anybody because my dog keeps coming to me. The money that the federal government sends us comes with strict restrictions. And one of the things that I've done, and as you all know, I belong to Laredo Main Street, and I've come full circle because I was the one that started it with a group of people. And although Jambusi is the party part, we do very serious things with small businesses in Laredo, Texas, specifically the downtown area. And what we've done is we have become very in tune to understand the steps so that we can help the small businesses. And there's also the economic development director. He was very disappointed because he only got 300 applicants. But again, like somebody said, it's very, very complicated. But those strings are coming from the federal government. And so I know the city is trying to do everything we can, and they can, and I'm included because I'm trying to help as well.
Thank you so much for your answer. We're going to go back to Mr. Montes. Would you answer that question?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, 250 small businesses did receive the money. 190 did not, and they did not receive it because they had trouble with the paperwork. I think that the city had to do a better job of addressing this issue. Now, the governor has opened the restrictions on the state, and Laredo, Victoria, and another community in the valley did not meet the qualifications for opening. And I just disagree with what we are doing as citizens as well. Social gatherings and the lack of civic duty to open this economy. We cannot sustain this economy the way we're going. And so we need to do a better job in regards to that.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Montes. Now, Mr. Flores, would you answer that question, please? Mr. Flores, can you hear me?
Oh, there it is. I'm Carlos Flores, and I'm running for City Council District 7. It is very important, and this is a very interesting question. You know, we need to continue doing better, informing the public about COVID-19. And definitely, has the city failed? Well, that's pretty obvious. I mean, we don't have to really elaborate on that question. But the real question here is the special interest, and it appears everywhere. If you're a politician, you're always going to favor that, and there's always going to be a way to go around about it. The Laredo Main Street, you know, that is being funded not just by the federal government, but the special interests, the architects. There's architects here that buy property and then they sell the property back to the city for millions of dollars. I think it's time, people realize we're not dumb. We know, we've been living here for many years, and we know that if we continue to work with the special interests, they're going to continue to take advantage at us. It is time that we make a real change.
Thank you. Now, those were the first two questions. The next question, and I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody here. Here we go. Here's the next question. We understand that citizens are free to choose what they want to do. This includes financial capacity to afford their choices, and does closely feel that we are not in a secured environment to protect those investments, meaning we lack the security of drug-free neighborhoods, which we know that they do not prejudice any social boundaries. How are you going to deal with our law enforcement to better suit the needs of a more secure environment? This question goes to Mr. Renteria. Would you please answer that?
Yes, most definitely. Renteria believes that I personally feel that we live in an environment where we can say that the cooperation between different agencies, just as Customs Border Protection, Border Patrol, Laredo Police Department, and even the military, has helped tremendously with having our community safe. Nonetheless, within my district, since it is a big district, I intend to divide it in 3 different zones, 3 different sectors, for which an analysis will be conducted, trying to look at the necessities where we can target the more priorities within that sector, which means is that we need to know exactly what is going on so we can try to approach the problem and correct the problem.
Thank you, Mr. Renteria. Now, Mr. Cepeda.
Yes, so as a federal law enforcement agent with
Mr. Cepeda, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so as a federal law enforcement agent with border security, I could tell you that having all these agencies working as a whole government is very important, because at the end of the day, the priority for every agency is to provide security for the community. I believe that the only way to accomplish this is to have funds available so that these agencies can train and work together, because at the end of the day, like I said, making the safety of the community is very important. And this is where the wall comes in. A lot of people are against the wall, but they don't know that technology fails. Everybody's talking about technology, this, but I'll tell you firsthand, I've seen technology fail. Technology costs money. And even with technology, you still have to have the people on the ground to do the apprehension. So I believe that if we have all these agencies working together, then we can definitely have a better secure border for the community.
Thank you, Mr. Cepeda. Now, the next person, Ms. Reyes, would you answer that question?
Maria Antonieta Reyes, running for District 7. We have to stop telling people they are free. We are not free. As a matter of fact, there is a lot of imposition to our rights from the state and the federal government. In Laredo, the crime rate has been going down. And talking to people from District 7, it is very noticeable that safety is not one of their biggest issues. One of the things that the police department deals with has to do with immigration issues via the Park McNulty, and also drug trafficking. But for the most part, we live in a safe environment. I think the biggest crime is property crime, and that's because
We lost Ms. Reyes. Okay, the next person that's going to answer that will be Mr. Montes. Would you please bear with us?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, we are a peaceful community. We need to do the citizens, we need to do our civic duty. You see something, say something. The police can't do everything for us. My niece is a police officer, and so is her fiance, and they need all the training and equipment that they can gather because they need to come home at night. Now, that said, our community is working together. The agencies are working together, and that's not a big concern. But there is smuggling and there is issues with human trafficking, and that's a federal issue. And but we need to address it because it's coming right under our nose. It's coming through our bridges and our checkpoints. And again, if you see something, say something, and we all need to work together to bring crime down and to keep this community safe.
Thank you, Mr. Montes. Now back to the Mayor Flores. Would you answer that question, please?
Yes, sir. You know, some time ago, I met with Vicente Fox, who was at the time the president, and I asked him what he could do to help us with the drug problem issue that we had in the United States. And he said, it's not my problem. You all buy. We're just selling. It's the market. And you know, that's a horrible way to think about things. We have to work together with the suppliers, with the people that are ruining our country and are ruining our children. And in Laredo, we have very, very astute police officers. We have an enormous law enforcement community per capita, larger than many other cities our size. We have become, instead of a college town, a law enforcement town. And why? Because of all the bad things that cross. And we have to keep those relationships going always. And I thank you very much, Mr. Benigno, for your service in that regard, because it's very important for us. Law enforcement has always been at the top of my list.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now,
We lost you, Paul.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Now, the next person to answer will be Mr. Flores.
Unmute.
We're fine. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, can you answer that question, please?
Yes, I think I would second the mayor in most of the stuff that the mayor responded to, most of the question. Yeah, Vicente Fox, we know Vicente Fox, but we're not gonna work with suppliers, the people that distribute the drug. I don't know if I misunderstood her statement, but what I would say is that we need to start with the family, and city council needs to be front, and they need to be honest, or do they support family in reality? And I don't think they have shown that in the past. And we need to transfer that image to the people, you know, and the schools. And the only way we're gonna stop drugs coming into our country is if we stop, you know, engaging in drugs. So my real question is this, you know, what are we really going to do as citizens? And I think that I am in favor of funding the police, no doubt about it. It's absolutely, but I think right now it's over 20-something% that we have allocated from the general budget, from the overall budget, and between them and the fire people, it's about 63%.
Thank you for your
And
answer.
so we don't have to really spend any more money on that. We're fine. Laredo is okay.
Okay, now Ms. Perez, could you answer that question, please?
Yes, my name is Vanessa Perez. I am a wife of an investigator with the Laredo Police Department. My husband has served our community for over a decade. I know very well the needs and the sacrifices that the families make. And so thank you to all the first responders. It's not just the people that work there, it's also the families that sacrifice a lot. Our police department has a very rigorous academy, and our cadets are very well trained. With that, they need support from us, and they need whatever equipment they need to keep themselves safe. We need to make sure that we provide for that for them. but there are things that we can do at the city level to make their jobs easier. One of the things that I'm concerned about in our district particularly are the old Delwood apartments. They are condemned and they are a haven for crime. We can look at these structures that we have that provide an opportunity for crime, for criminals, and demolish them. We have the old Mercy building. There's things we can do, community watch programs, neighborhood watch, to unite our community and keep an eye out for each other. So that would be something I would facilitate.
Thank you. Thank you. Your time has run out. Now, the next question. Did I miss anybody? Did I overlap anybody? I think we missed some seconds there with the internet. Now, the next question. And the person that will answer that question will be Mr. Cepeda first. Many will agree that prosperity is more than accumulation of material. It is basically the joy of life and the prospect of being able to build an even better life in the future. With this being said, Laredoans must have an equal opportunity to pursue any type of employment across all social classes. How are you going to bring forth jobs to meet these expectations? Mr. Cepeda?
So in order for us to produce more jobs, we gotta have businesses running. Currently right now, we are working at a percentage capacity, but still it's not providing the people the opportunity to go back to work and bring money to the families. So as a city, we need to focus on the small businesses, the businesses that have been affected by the pandemic, and think about, hey, we need to provide the people the jobs, because if they don't get the jobs, they can't provide for their family. So we need to focus on the jobs, especially during this pandemic. We need to make sure that we go ahead and provide the opportunity, regardless of the pandemic, for businesses to open, for small businesses to go ahead and operate, because at the end of the day, they do provide jobs for the citizens. And from there, the citizens will be able to provide to the family.
Thank you, Mr. Cepeda. Now, Ms. Reyes, would you answer that question, please? Ms. Reyes?
I think we lost Ms. Reyes.
We lost Ms. Reyes. If she comes back in, let me admit some people. I'm going to go ahead and jump Ms. Reyes, and we're going to go with Mr. Montes. How do you feel, if you can answer that question?
Tax abatement is one strategy that the city can use to attract more businesses that can pay a higher living wage, like $15 an hour. And I'm not talking about small business. I know some of my friends said, don't go there. I know this is a very difficult time, but I'm talking about corporate America, the big businesses that can come in, who can afford $15 an hour, should be able to pay a living wage to our citizens in order to meet this the demand for their family. Basically, that's all I got on that.
Thank you. Now, we'll come back with Ms. Reyes, but I'm going to continue down the line, so she'll be the last one. She she was out for. Mayor Flores?
Sure.
Answer that question, please.
Absolutely. I think that we're in a time right now where a lot of people are hurting that we don't even know about. And I think we have to reach out to all sectors of our community. Economic development is talked a lot about, but economic development to me means only about jobs. And the only way that we can improve those jobs is with education. And that's why Laredo College and Tammy U have been a blessing to this community. I would like to be, Laredo is a college town. But you know, before, when we talked about education and we'd say, you're gonna go to college, we didn't know what that looked like because we had never seen a college. And now we have something. So I think that everybody that should try and go to college, and we should support as many scholarships as possible for our community. My dad invested money so that we could have the Eloy Garcia building, and we all approved because it came out of our inheritance from the money that he had saved up. So we have that building for technology at Laredo College because
Thank you.
that is what's going to get us there.
Thank you for your time, Ms. Flores.
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Flores, would you answer that question, please?
Yes, yes, and what I want to say is that about 80% of the revenue that the city receives, again, the city is a business, comes from import and export. That's gone. That's about 50% down, if not lower. Tourism is obviously about 50% down, at least. The federal government, well, we're now being limited by the funds from the federal government. Our main source of income is gone. We need to think outside the box. And being in education is not enough. We need to train, we need to come back to the trades and bring the real jobs from manufacturing. We need to line up with Washington, with our congressman, with our state representative, and bring manufacturing that's gonna come back from China, bring it to Laredo, aerospace, and just plain manufacturing. You don't have to bring the big manufacturing, but the small manufacturers. I have 4 different areas of expertise: manufacturing, aerospace, construction, you name it, in business. I've been very successful. I know exactly what you need to do. The United States exports, most of its experts come from aerospace. We could bring it to Laredo, and I know how to do it.
Thank you. Now, the next person, Ms. Perez, please.
Yes, thank you. I'm Vanessa Perez. And, we have to invest in our community. We have to invest in our citizens. Laredo needs to be a place that people want to come to and stay. We have a lot of transient employees that come and work here. They do their time and they leave. We want people to stay in our city. We want to grow our city. So we need to be an attractive city. We need to offer a good cost of living. Home prices are high compared to other cities. Tax rates here are high. We're looking at another increase again. That's not doing us any favors as far as being a place that people want to aspire to live. And we want to keep our children here, and so they don't have to go off to go work somewhere else. So I would like to focus on vocational training. There's so many jobs that you can get. And also socioeconomic scholarships for people that do want to go to college and pursue 4-year degrees. And you can have opportunities across the spectrum. We can give tax abatements to attract companies. But basically, whatever we need to do it.
Now, Mr. Jose Renteria. You have to unmute.
Yes, sir. It is obvious that we don't see a cooperation between the city and the small businesses or businesses in general. Very obvious example is that a Mines Road area lacks supermarkets, medical clinic centers, retail and shopping centers. But the question is, how am I gonna bring forth jobs? The idea is this: as your city councilman, I'm gonna use all my tools to help out those small businesses in the city. But nonetheless, I'm gonna try to encourage to create a group where we can go out of town, exhibit to bring jobs to our city. Just a big disappointment it is with Tesla. I don't know if a lot of people know, Tesla is moving from California to Austin, Texas. Why did Laredo not participate on that? Why do we have to rely only on the import-export business when we can move into a manufacturing or other areas? We need to diversify: science and technology, arts. I mean, we cannot just rely on an import-export or warehousing business.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Renteria. Now we're back to Ms. Reyes. Ms. Reyes, did you hear the question, or were you out, or you're still in? I think she just came back out. Let me readmit those that are out. Ms. Reyes, can you hear me? Ms. Reyes, can you hear me? Yes? Do you know the question, or you want me to read it for you?
Was it how are you going to deal with?
How are you going to bring forth jobs
Oh,
to
yeah.
meet these expectations?
I think my name is Maria Antonieta Reyes.
We lost her again. We lost
Viewing and LC being a blessing, we actually need better opportunities. We need to stop training the citizens of Laredo just to be in the service industry. So we need to demand of those institutions of higher learning that are here, new and better opportunities instead of everyone seeking their own interests. We need to partner up with technology. And I mean, Tesla just got to Austin, so we're very close. And Mr. Teclo has been doing a great job of monitoring the new opportunities Laredo is going to experience.
Thank you so much, Ms. Reyes. Now, the next question, and I'll go ahead and read it. And this question will be started off by Ms. Reyes, so please don't go anywhere. Laredo, as we know, is rich in tradition and culture. Traditions that many do not want to remove due to the common acceptance of practice bring us to the following question. The continual complaints of nepotism within the city, hiring and procedures, has been heard for decades. If you as a councilman or councilwoman see this conflict of interest, will you stand for the procedure or remedy this issue? Ms. Reyes?
Maria Antonieta Reyes running for District 7. It is very obvious to all of us. We have been witnesses to the corruption and just bad practice of city government. We have a political class. We need to accept that. And this political class is aside from the landowners. The political class has been keeping the voice of the people away from government. And as a city councilwoman, I promise that through integrity, I will step aside when there is a conflict of interest. I have no doubts, no way of not putting myself away from conflict of interest. However, you need to realize that in order for this change to take place, the citizens need to be active. I can't emphasize that enough. We need to be active by informing everyone else of what is taking place in our organizations and in our city and making it public.
Thank you for your answer. Now we go up with Mayor Flores. Would you continue with that answer?
Absolutely. Nepotism shouldn't be anywhere. It's a bad thing for everyone, because if you're doing a good job in everything else, that one thing is going to bring you down. So I completely would not like to have any part of that. And I would fight very, very strongly against that. Now, there are firefighters who say, my son can be a firefighter. This is a good job. Is that going to be a good thing or a bad thing? That's a wonderful thing. We should follow those arrows, you know? The police officers do the same thing. And sometimes so do the city employees, because it is a good paying job. And thank God for that. But we need to stop the people thinking that there is nepotism and use that word reclusion that somebody talked about.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Flores, would you answer that question?
Oh, obviously, it is pretty obvious that nepotism was going to continue to exist in our community and in city council if certain members get reelected. Members that have been serving in the past in high positions. I'm telling you, the firefighters have a tendency of asking for a lot of money. And like I said, 63% of the budget goes to the police and to firefighters, and more to the firefighters. I think they have all the things they need. They cannot be asking for any more. And I don't believe in what just the mayor said. You know, I believe in some of the things that she said, but definitely, you know, if somebody wants to be a firefighter, that he can make about the same amount of money as anybody else. But they make a lot of money.
So,
And I don't say that they don't, but I think that's something that we need to look into very carefully.
Now, Ms. Pettis, would you answer that question?
Yes, Vanessa Perez. One of the things in big concepts that I strongly believe in is the idea of getting the right people on the bus. And so in business, you always want to get the right person on the bus in the company. And then from there, you can grow as a company. And so in the government, it's the same thing. I'm hearing that there's a lot of lack of customer service from our government. There's a lot of inefficiencies. And that stems from not having the right people on the bus. Not having the right people in the right positions, people that want to work and who are passionate about the job that they're doing and not just looking for a paycheck. And so with nepotism, it's different. I mean, it's difficult. Like if you're hiring somebody because they're related to somebody else, then that's wrong. But if that person is the best person for the job and they just so happen to be related to someone, then I look at that differently. But if there was a conflict of interest in the hiring process, I would expect that anybody that was in that person's family to recuse themselves from the process and let other people decide who is the best person for the job. But always from our government, always pick the best person for the job and not, who you're related to and who you know, because that's not a way to run a business and it's not a way to run our government.
Thank you for your time. Folks, when you hear the bell, that's 10 seconds to 60 seconds. So kind of keep that in mind.
We don't hear the bell.
Yeah, we don't
The
hear
problem-
it.
Okay.
We don't hear the bell. Maybe you should raise your hand. Raise your hand so that we have enough time to do a closing.
Do you have a gong?
Yes.
We'll do that. Sorry about that. Who's the next one is Mr. Renteria. Would you answer that?
Yes, sir, most definitely. We have seen a problem within conflict of interest. We've seen it all along. And that is why voting in this upcoming election, it is extremely important. We need to choose somebody different, somebody that is actually willing to take this as a full-time commitment rather than a part-time job. There's a lot of good people out there that are willing to sacrifice and give all their time and their talent to make a change. Everything has to start. We need to move into a more prosperous direction. And only with your vote, we can make that happen.
Thank you, Mr. Renteria. Mr. Cepeda, would you answer that question, please?
It's Benigno Cepeda. So as a councilman, if I see a conflict of interest, I would definitely remedy the issue. Now, you guys got to remember, nepotism just doesn't fall for relatives. It's also about friends. So if nepotism is there, and if the citizens voice a concern, as a city leaders, we got to definitely address it. So there's been several conflicts, several situations, decisions that the city current leadership has been made. I think the charter needs to be revisited, and the ethics commission needs to also be rechanged, because as we can see, some of the decisions that our current leaders have made have gone without no challenge. So as your next city councilman, definitely anytime there's a conflict of interest, I will definitely remedy the issue.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cepeda. Now, the next question, and the person that would start that would be Mr. Montes. This will be the last question.
You skipped me on that question. Hold on, you skipped me on that question.
Sorry about that. Mr. Montes, go ahead.
On the previous. Yes, we need to adhere to the city charter. I hear that a lot, that there was a proposition to go before the ballot to allow a council member to serve a third term, a total of 12 years. And that's a concern. People are concerned that the same people are running for office and they want change because of that. And so we need to abide by the term limitations in the city charter. And we need to abide by the provisions of the charter. And so people are concerned that this is violating the efficacy of the charter. And so we need to make sure that people are not doing the same thing over and over. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Now, the next question you're going to start. Sorry about skipping you. It wasn't intentional. Okay, here it is. Well, our city lacks leadership and transparency. First, they place Hector Gonzalez and Chief Landin as COVID-19 response persons. Midway through, Hector Gonzalez is terminated and Chief Landin retires. Do you agree that the city leadership has failed the citizens of Laredo? Do you agree that it should be the city's leadership that would need to be front and center in this COVID-19 battle? If so, and what would you do?
Well, once again, nepotism is a bad thing, and the same people are up there running city government, and what they want is a change, and they want different people with different perspectives, and they want to make sure that it's not the same people who are tapping into the same double dipping in their in these jobs, and so we need to open it up to everyone, not just the same people being hired for these positions. It demoralizes the community.
Okay, Mr. Montes, thank you for your answer. Mayor Flores, would you please answer?
I think that we can't go around second guessing people's decisions. Once they've been made, they've been made. We have to move on. And I think that's what the city did. They moved on and they're doing the best they can with what is available to them. They can't get on TV all the time, but they can be on on social media. And they've been doing everything they can. Remember, Laredo for a very long time had very few cases. And yet, and that the state came and told us what to do. And we had to open up. And that caused a lot of problems in Laredo because we forgot about the social distancing and we forgot about the masks. Unfortunately, we have a lot of young people in Laredo and they wanted to go out and do things. So I say we are doing the best we can and all of us together can make it safer.
Thank you, Ms. Flores. Let me go ahead and go with Mr. Flores. Can you answer that question, please?
Yes, I think everybody needs to come together and definitely realize that definitely issues that are happening here in Laredo and starting with COVID-19. I think the city has failed and it will continue to fail if we keep electing people that really they're just there for their self-interest. There's 9 candidates here or 10 candidates, and now you tell me who are the ones that are for the city and who are the ones that are for the district, and it is pretty obvious. But definitely, if people do not vote and people don't do what they need to do, the same thing is going to continue. We need to stop the epidemic or prevent it, and we all need to work together.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Now, Ms. Perez, would you answer that question?
Hi, I'm Vanessa Perez. Yes, I think that leadership, you lead from the front and you be the example that you want others to follow. And that's how, otherwise you're just managing. And when we declared a state of emergency to receive emergency funds from the state, that should have also carried some kind of security for the citizens. For example, if you're a police officer and you fail to report or you go AWOL or you, there's cowardice, there's things like that. If you're deployed in the Army Reserves and you get deployed, you have to go. First responders are always ready to report for duty. And so I think retiring midway through a pandemic is not, there should be some standard to where if you're in an emergency situation, you have to report for duty and you can't retire midway through a pandemic. So we need leadership that's going to stick with us through thick and thin. And I would do that.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Now, Mr. Renteria, if you can answer that question.
It was extremely disappointed that our city leaders did not approach or convene all of us together to explain the situation, since we saw this pandemic as going globally. I think that we should have been well informed about how we're going to go about it as compared to just imposing rules that just affected everybody in general, the residents, the citizens, and the businesses. Leadership is being able to convene everyone, getting it all together for a common purpose, dialogue, and coming to a conclusion. That is my focal point, and that is something that I want to do. Everybody to participate on the decision-making process That is what is called democracy. Let's change the model. Let's change the way it has been done before so that we can make a change.
Thank you, Mr. Renteria. Now, Mr. Cepeda, would you answer that question, please?
Is Benigno Cepeda. So do I feel that the current leadership failed the citizens? Absolutely. I go back to the emergency order back in April. The city allocated over $300,000 to battle the COVID-19. And like I said, only 100,000 went to the actual test kits. You know, and everybody knows 100,000 ain't going to be enough to provide the services to the citizens. Now, a lot of the majority of the money went to disinfecting offices of different sections of the city. I'm talking about tens, $20,000, and not to mention the equipment also. So in total, the city spent over $300,000 back in April. So the way that the current leadership failed us is by actually bringing back this emergency order. We're still in the pandemic. We haven't heard anything since April. So I think that definitely the current leadership failed. We need to revisit this. And as your next councilman, I will definitely look into this pandemic and see where the funds that were given to the city are being allocated and are they really properly used for this pandemic.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cepeda. Now, Ms. Reyes, would you answer that question, please?
Maria Antonieta Reyes. I believe that the leadership of the city has failed in certain areas and has done good in certain areas. I cannot deny that. Emergency response requires that leadership to be in the forefront of any crisis, to give the face and to guide the people through crisis in order for us to feel safe. But I believe that they failed at engaging citizens. They treated us like victims, like children, instead of active members of the community. They should have conversed with us, so to get there, we could have walked the path. So in that way, that brings me back to what is leadership? Leadership is someone that walks with you, not in front of you. It's not a savior. It's someone that engages with you in order to address the crisis together.
Thank you, Ms. Reyes. Now, the next one is going to be a rebuttal, which everybody has 2 minutes. And since we're missing one, it goes back, and the person that's going to start the rebuttal would be Mayor Flores.
Yes, thank you very much again, Professor, for this time. I appreciate you doing this for all of us. My name is Betty Flores, and I'm running for District 7. When I ran for mayor, the salary was $13,000 a year. I obviously didn't do it for the money. I did it because I felt that my experience could service my community. This is the same thing that I'm doing now. I feel that my experience can serve the community. And a lot of people talked about things that we should have been doing. These are things that I had been doing all my life. And I have worked very hard to protect this community. I have worked very hard to help this community. And I continue to do that today. As lighting in the streets, I purchased a light for a park because they didn't have one and they needed a better light. And so I purchased one. I purchased one for a neighborhood. I'm going to keep doing that because I believe that the private sector and the city has to work together. And it's very important that people understand that these are very difficult times. And I believe that my experience can make all the difference in the world. Thank you again for your time, and I appreciate all the candidates for their time.
Mr. Flores?
I'm sorry, but I didn't listen to the question. Can you repeat it for me, please?
This is your rebuttal stage. You got 2 minutes.
Well, primarily,
Sorry, it's a statement. Yes, correct. What?
Again, go ahead. Okay, I think that experience alone is not enough for individuals to lead a city, a state, or a nation. And we are right here trying to make a determination as to why are we the best candidate. One must have wisdom to lead and must lead with honesty and with respect and humbleness. It is not about us, it's about the people, it's about the community, and it's about the business model that we need to change in the city. So I ask for your vote because I am the person that has not only the experience, but the wisdom to do it right. I have 4 areas of expertise, and I know that I can make Laredo and District 7 a lot better than what it is right now.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Now, Ms. Perez.
Hi, thank you. I'm Vanessa Perez. You know, I have been working for my community for many years now. As a volunteer, I've served on boards on a volunteer basis to be involved at you can't have a conversation if you're not at the table. So I have fought my way to get at the table so that I can be involved and have a voice and advocate for people that I directly interact with. You know, I know my neighbors, my neighborhood is very close knit. I would like to bring that to the district. We talk about experience, but I don't have any bad political habits. I don't have any political ties. I'm a fresh face in politics, and I'm willing to learn and do whatever I need to do to make Laredo a better city for my future, for our future, and for my children. I don't want my children have to leave Laredo to get a better opportunity. And one of the things that I think people need to look at when they're evaluating the candidates is the ethics. I don't know if people realize that the running for office is governed by state law and has certain rules that are in the ethics code. And when you run, you have to educate yourself on these rules. And there are 6 people running that are in violation of these rules, and for different reasons. And so when you are looking at contracts and reading the fine print and technicalities, there's oversights. And for people, you know, you can see it in the signage. Look at the signage, look at the ethics code, and you can see who did not read the fine print. I promise to read the fine print. I promise to pay attention to details, and I promise to advocate for our community and not put us in a situation where we might expose ourselves to liability or get into some kind of situation where we just, you know, ignorance is not an excuse in the eyes of the law. So vote for me, and I will look after all of us and make sure that we all are on the right track for a better future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Now, Mr. Renteria.
Thank you very much. My name is Jose Renteria. All I can say is the following. Eventually, some candidates had an opportunity to make a big impact to our community, but it never happened. As I stated before, it is time with your vote to give a chance for a young generation with new ideas, better proposals. In my campaign, my proposals are not based on a 4-year term, but rather they're gonna be executed on a 6-month period. So every 6 months, we're gonna have a task, what we need to accomplish, so that way we can see a progressive route and see improvement. The participation of everybody and everybody getting involved is what is gonna make Laredo great. But we need to change that rhythm. We definitely have to do that. I hope people knocking on doors have led me to believe that people are not afraid to vote for a change. They are afraid to being lied to, because that's what other candidates have been doing in the past. Give hope for Jose Renteria, as I promised that if you're not satisfied with my performance, I will volunteer resign in 2 years. That is my commitment to you, that I am serious, that I am committed, and that everything that I will do will show immediate attention to. Thank you very much. Please vote for Jose Renteria.
Thank you, Mr. Renteria. Mr. Cepeda.
Benigno Cepeda for City Council District 7. So one of the things that I want to touch on is the same energy arena that was mentioned earlier. There has been a lot of talk about the people demanding that the voice be heard in City Council. As you know, the council has implemented an online system, which at the end of the day, the citizens' concerns have not been responded to. They've changed it now to having one person at a time going up to City Council and voicing the concern. I think the city should use the resources that they have. Sames Energy Arena is owned by the city of Laredo. The capacity of the Sames Energy Arena is 8,000. So even at 25% capacity, you can have a lot more people using their constitutional right, their freedom of speech, to voice their concerns rather than City Hall. So I believe that the Sames Energy Arena is definitely a very good resource that the city should consider using for the people because they are using, or we are paying taxes to have that energy arena. Another thing that we talk about is leadership. You know, in order for you to lead by example, and you have to be out there earning the respect and the vote of the people. Ever since I started this campaign, I've been actually block walking door to door, meeting the people and hearing their concerns of the constituents in different parts of the district. And you'll be surprised every time that I get down and talk to the people, they tell me, you're the first candidate that actually comes and talks to the people and hears the concerns. You can't win the respect of the people if you're not willing to go out there and meet them and hear the concerns. A business card or door thing is not going to win the votes. Every single time that I go out there and I see something like this, every single constituent said the easiest thing they could have done is come here, knock, earn their vote and their respect. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue doing this because I am gonna push this because I think it's very important that we as leaders go out there and lead by example. Thank you very much. Vote for Benigno Gerardo Cepeda. Determine 2020 for the people, not the system. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cepeda. Now, Ms. Reyes, can you hear me? Can you answer?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
María Antonieta Reyes. I have been a professor of politics and public administration at the university level for the last 12 years. I have learned cases at the national level, state level, and the local level, analyze them. So knowing how the system works is important. But what I have discovered is that even though I am a veteran, even though I have been an educator, even though I am a mother with children in college, even though I have been a professor, what is needed is the voice of the people. You have to realize that without proper engagement from the public to government, that voice is not present. So you are going to notice that most of our candidates have the same platform. I don't care how many times they tell you it's different. And that is because the issues of District 7, we have all learned about them and we want to represent them. You need to vote for something different. Stop voting men into office. Vote for women. Stop voting for people that think that government is run like a business. It isn't. Government is not a business. And you need to vote for different candidates that are for ethics. My expertise includes public service values. Ethics is what I practice. Ethics is what I call for, and I have from the beginning. I even fought for that while I was a professor in TAMIU. So you need to consider new voices. Remember that to include your voice in the system, community effort is needed. And I am promising to walk with you, among you, to love you, to be empathetic and be representative of your needs with mine. A vote for me is a vote for us.
Thank you, Ms. Reyes. Now with Mr. Montes, would you please answer?
Yes. I invite the public to print the ballot and to study the ballot before they go to vote. There are 5 amendments dedicated to the vote. And I invite the public to discuss this at their dinner table. If you do not vote, it's the equivalent of no taxation without representation. And that was a major grievance in the Declaration of Independence. And so it's very important that people understand how the system works and study the ballot and where you're going to go vote. They cut the precincts in half, and District 7 only has, but people have to do their civic duty and understand that the government can't do everything for them. And so I invite people to have this discussion and do their civic duty. I'm David Montes, running for District 7 for a change. I'm bringing something different. I have different life experiences, and I think that people understand that there's a lot of hardship in our community, and we need to address those hardships. There's a lot of affluency in our community. We've done a lot of things right, but we still have improvements to be made. And so I invite the public to register to vote and to also answer the census. Todos contamos y toda la gente tiene que contestar el censo. Citizens and non-citizens alike. This is for federal dollars, it's for representation in Congress, and it's important that we all do that civic duty.
Now, I want to thank everybody, all the candidates. Number one, it takes a lot for everybody to go ahead and write their name on a dotted line to represent others, to stand up, to be heard, to be just, to understand where everybody is going and and to understand our community in general. Number one, I asked the voters the following. I ask you to research each and every candidate. Call them. Their names, they're easy to be found. Talk to them because they're the ones that are going to be representing you. If you do not do that, and just go out and do not vote, please do not complain when something is done wrong. Okay? This is where things that you did not like, things that you like, and everything else comes together, it's on that vote. And I tell everybody, please do not vote by mail. They say, but it's very secure. If you think it's secure, put $200 in a card or just in an envelope, mail them to yourself. If they come back, vote by mail. If they don't, put your mask on, wait in line, and go sign that little dot that you have in there. Do your civic duty. Everybody here, what I see is great individuals that want to better their community. So I suggest that the voters go out and vote. Again, thank you all for spending your time. Thank you all for allowing others to hear what you all are, what you all say, and what you all represent. Until next time, peace.
God bless
Thank you,
everyone.
Mr. Buitron. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a
Thank you.
happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank
Oh
you.
yeah, if you guys
Happy
want to
birthday,
present,
Mr.
I'm
Buitrón.
gonna tell you what you guys can send me, okay? Y'all can send me 45 ACP, I accept that, 9mm. Okay, I also accept 458 SOCA. Bring them on by, okay? Thank you guys. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, how do we end it?